A sharp, violent slap echoes loudly through the pristine marble hallway of the VIP elite clinic.
Arrogance is a towering castle built on quicksand. The higher you build it...
I, Clara, whispered to myself as I stumbled backward, desperately clutching my pregnant belly to protect my unborn child. Standing directly over me was Victor Sterling, the ruthless billionaire tycoon. He had just violently slapped my face and was currently demanding my immediate termination from the clinic. "Get this worthless, pathetic peasant out of my sight!" Victor Sterling shouted at the head doctor, his voice filled with absolute disgust as the entire medical staff watched in paralyzed silence. Victor proudly adjusted his expensive designer suit, truly feeling like an untouchable king. But as he confidently walked out of the clinic, leaving me humiliated on the cold floor, he had absolutely no idea. The arrogant tycoon didn't know that my older brother, Arthur, was the hidden mega investor who secretly owned the absolute majority shares of Victor's entire financial empire. Victor's towering castle of quicksand was about to collapse. The freezing marble floor of the VIP elite clinic sent sharp shivers through my body, but the physical cold was absolutely nothing compared to the deep humiliation burning in my chest. I, Clara, remained on the ground, my trembling hands instinctively wrapping around my swollen pregnant belly to comfort my unborn child. Just moments ago, Victor Sterling, the city's most ruthless billionaire tycoon, had violently slapped me across the face. Through the massive glass doors of the luxurious lobby, I could still see Victor Sterling calmly adjusting his custom-tailored designer suit. He looked completely unbothered, as if striking a pregnant nurse was perfectly normal for a man of his immense wealth. Standing right next to him was his glamorous fiancée, Eleanor. She was busy wiping a single, meaningless drop of spilled water from her expensive leather handbag, the incredibly petty excuse Victor Sterling used to completely destroy my career. "Dr. Harris," Victor Sterling demanded loudly before stepping into his waiting black limousine, pointing a threatening finger directly at the head doctor. "If I ever see Clara in this prestigious building again, I will personally ensure this entire clinic loses its funding. Throw her out immediately." Dr. Harris, a man I had deeply respected and worked tirelessly alongside for 5 grueling years, slowly turned his head away. He did not offer me a hand. He did not utter a single word of defense. The entire medical staff, people I considered my second family, simply lowered their eyes in absolute silence. They were all entirely paralyzed by the terrifying power of Victor Sterling. "I am so sorry, Clara," Dr. Harris whispered weakly, his voice trembling as he handed me a small cardboard box containing my few personal desk items. "You need to leave right now. We absolutely cannot risk losing Mr. Sterling's financial backing." I did not scream. I did not beg Dr. Harris for mercy. I slowly pushed myself up from the cold floor, feeling a sharp ache in my lower back. I took the cardboard box from Dr. Harris's shaking hands. "I dedicated my life to saving patients in this clinic, Dr. Harris." I, Clara, said softly, my voice perfectly steady despite the violent storm of betrayal raging inside me. "But I now clearly see that healing means absolutely nothing here compared to Victor Sterling's money." I turned my back on the luxurious clinic and walked out into the unforgiving city streets. The heavy glass doors clicked shut behind me, locking me out of the only career I had ever known. I was suddenly a jobless, single pregnant woman facing a terrifying, uncertain future. I had absolutely no income, and the medical bills for my upcoming delivery were looming like a dark storm cloud. However, as I stood alone on the bustling sidewalk, I made a silent, unbreakable promise to my unborn child. I would survive this nightmare. Victor Sterling firmly believed he had completely crushed a helpless, insignificant peasant today. But the arrogant tycoon was entirely blind to the truth. He had absolutely no idea that my fiercely protective older brother, Arthur, was the exact same hidden mega investor secretly funding Victor Sterling's entire financial empire. Victor Sterling's towering castle of quicksand was already beginning to sink. The tiny, dimly lit apartment felt suffocatingly cold as I, Clara, gently pressed a bag of frozen peas against my bruised cheek. The violent red mark left by Victor Sterling's heavy hand was still burning fiercely, a cruel, physical reminder of my sudden, terrifying reality. I sat on the edge of my worn-out mattress, staring blankly at the massive stack of past-due medical bills scattered across the cold floor. I had absolutely no job, no health insurance, and an innocent baby arriving in just a few short months. Suddenly, my cracked phone buzzed loudly on the wooden nightstand. The caller ID flashed a name that instantly brought a fresh wave of tears to my eyes. Arthur. My fiercely protective older brother. Clara, sweetie, how is my absolute favorite sister doing? Arthur's deep, warm voice echoed through the speaker, offering a temporary shield from the storm. And how is my future niece or nephew? I swallowed hard, desperately fighting back my heavy sobs. We are doing perfectly fine, Arthur. I lied, my voice trembling slightly, just incredibly tired from a long, demanding shift at the VIP clinic. I absolutely could not tell him the devastating truth. Arthur was thousands of miles away in Europe, finalizing the biggest financial merger of his entire life. I refused to be a burden and ruin his monumental success. However, I had absolutely no idea who Arthur was actually doing business with. On the other side of the world, sitting in a luxurious, top-floor penthouse suite, Arthur was casually flipping through a massive corporate portfolio. Stamped boldly in gold ink across the front cover was the name, Sterling Financial Empire. Arthur, the hidden mega-investor, was currently holding Victor Sterling's entire financial future in the palm of his hand. I am wrapping up this massive acquisition today, Clara, Arthur said proudly, completely unaware of my pain. The arrogant CEO of this company, Victor Sterling, has been practically begging on his knees for my capital injection. I will be back in the city for the major signing gala next week. We will celebrate your baby then. While my loving brother prepared to unknowingly save my abuser, Victor Sterling was busy celebrating his own perceived invincibility. Across the city, inside his exclusive Billionaires Club, Victor loudly clinked his crystal glass of expensive champagne with his glamorous fiancée, Eleanor. That pathetic, worthless nurse is finally gone, Victor sneered, taking an arrogant sip of his drink. The VIP clinic is perfectly spotless again. Now, once this hidden mega-investor signs the merger agreement next week, I will officially be the most powerful, untouchable man in this entire city. Absolutely no one can stop me. Victor smiled wickedly, completely blinded by his towering castle of quicksand. He truly believed he had permanently crushed a helpless, insignificant woman today. He didn't know that the very man he was desperately begging for money was fiercely protective of the pregnant nurse he had just violently assaulted. The ultimate collision was inevitably set for the upcoming gala, and Victor's glorious empire was about to be brutally burned to the ground. The relentless city rain continued, pouring for 3 consecutive days, perfectly mirroring my terrifying new reality. I, Clara, sat at my small kitchen table, anxiously counting the few remaining crumpled dollar bills I had left. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed from my apartment door. A uniformed courier stood in the hallway, respectfully handing me a premium, velvet-lined black box. Inside the luxurious packaging lay a breathtaking, elegant black evening gown and a sealed envelope containing a gold-embossed VIP invitation. The handwritten note attached was from Arthur. For the Sterling Financial Merger Gala tomorrow night, the note read in Arthur's familiar handwriting. I want my fiercely protective sister right by my side when I officially sign this historic deal. My cracked phone immediately rang. Did you receive the package, Clara? Arthur asked, his deep voice filled with genuine excitement. I am landing in the city tomorrow morning. You absolutely must attend this gala with me. It is time the elite of this city finally meet my family. I gently traced the delicate fabric of the expensive gown. The physical bruise on my cheek from Victor Sterling's heavy hand had slowly faded to a dull yellow, but the burning fire of injustice inside my chest had only grown into an uncontrollable inferno. I will be there, Arthur. I, Clara, replied steadily, my voice completely devoid of any previous weakness. In fact, there is something incredibly important I need to show you about Victor Sterling tomorrow night. Excellent. I can't wait to see you, Arthur cheered, completely oblivious to the dark storm gathering on the horizon. Across the city, high above the wet streets, in a towering glass penthouse, Victor Sterling was furiously shouting at his terrified team of corporate lawyers. "I want these final merger contracts to be absolutely flawless," Victor demanded aggressively, slamming his fist onto the polished mahogany desk. "Arthur's massive capital injection will instantly make me an untouchable god in this city. Absolutely nothing, and no one will ruin tomorrow night for me." Eleanor, his glamorous fiancée, casually walked into the office, sipping a glass of expensive wine. "Relax, Victor," Eleanor sneered with a cruel, triumphant smile. "Your reputation is spotless, and you have already permanently removed all the worthless trash. That pathetic, crying pregnant nurse is long gone." "Exactly." Victor laughed wickedly, aggressively pulling Eleanor into his arms.
"Exactly. Tomorrow night, I sign those papers, take Arthur's billions, and I officially rule everything."
Victor proudly adjusted his expensive watch, meticulously polishing his imaginary crown. The arrogant billionaire truly believed he was stepping into a glorious new kingdom. He had absolutely no idea that he was actually walking blindfolded straight toward his own brutal execution. The massive crystal chandeliers of the Grand Plaza Hotel illuminated the luxurious room as Victor Sterling proudly stood at the center of the stage. He held a gold-plated pen, hovering it over the historic merger documents that would officially make him the most powerful man in the city. Eleanor stood closely by his side, smiling greedily at the flashing cameras of the local press. This signature marks the beginning of a new, untouchable era for the Sterling financial empire. Victor Sterling announced arrogantly to the crowd of elite investors. Before his gold pen could even touch the paper, the heavy ballroom doors swung wide open. I, Clara, walked confidently into the room, wearing the breathtaking black evening gown Arthur had sent me. Standing right beside me was Arthur, his face a mask of cold, calculating fury. Victor Sterling immediately spotted me through the crowd. His arrogant smile instantly vanished, replaced by absolute rage. "Security!" Victor Sterling shouted across the silent room, pointing a trembling finger directly at me. "I fired that pathetic nurse days ago. Throw Clara out immediately before she ruins this monumental evening." Two large security guards rushed forward, but Arthur simply raised his hand. The guards instantly stopped in their tracks, recognizing the hidden mega investor they had been instructed to protect at all costs. "Clara is not going anywhere, Victor," Arthur said, his deep voice echoing loudly through the breathless ballroom. "She is my fiercely protective sister." Victor Sterling froze completely. The gold pen slipped from his sweaty fingers, clattering loudly against the polished mahogany table. Eleanor gasped in horror, her perfectly made-up face turning a sickly shade of pale. Your sister?" Victor Sterling stammered, his confident posture entirely crumbling in front of the city's elite. "Arthur, please, there must be some massive misunderstanding. Clara never mentioned you." "There is absolutely no misunderstanding," Arthur replied coldly, stepping up to the stage and looking down at the arrogant CEO. "You desperately begged me for a financial lifeline, but you violently assaulted my pregnant sister, Clara, and threw her into the unforgiving streets. I do not invest in abusive cowards." Arthur picked up the thick stack of merger contracts. With a swift, deliberate motion, Arthur tore the documents in half, letting the worthless pieces flutter to the floor like dead leaves. "Your funding is permanently pulled, Victor," Arthur declared, for the entire room to hear. "My legal team is currently freezing all of your corporate assets. You are completely bankrupt." Victor Sterling fell heavily to his knees, desperately trying to gather the torn pieces of paper from the floor. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with sheer terror and pathetic regret. "Clara, please," Victor Sterling begged, his voice cracking as the cameras continued to flash. "I am so sorry. You have to tell Arthur to save me." I, Clara, looked down at the miserable man who had once treated me like garbage. I did not raise my voice. I did not show an ounce of weakness. I simply offered Victor Sterling a cold, pitying smile. "I warned you on the day you threw me out, Victor." I, Clara, said softly, ensuring every single word cut deep into his shattered ego. "Arrogance is a towering castle built on quicksand. The higher you build it, the harder you fall. And tonight, Victor Sterling, your castle has finally collapsed. The immediate aftermath of the breathtaking gala was swift and absolutely devastating for Victor Sterling. Two towering hotel security officers stepped forward, their faces completely devoid of any sympathy for the fallen tycoon. By direct order of my brother, Arthur, Victor's executive access was immediately revoked. His corporate assets were frozen, and his majestic empire was officially dismantled. The exact same wealthy elite who had blindly worshipped Victor just moments ago now silently watched him get escorted out of the grand ballroom in absolute disgrace. Victor desperately reached out to his glamorous fiancée, Eleanor, begging her to stay by his side. Eleanor, however, did not shed a single tear for him. She coldly pulled her arm away from his sweaty grasp, her perfect lips twisted in pure disgust. She smoothly walked away into the dark shadows, entirely abandoning the broke, ruined man to easily find her next wealthy target. Victor collapsed onto the cold marble floor of the lobby, physically unable to support the crushing weight of his absolute ruin. He had permanently lost his massive financial backing, his untouchable reputation, and his entirely fake future. The spectacular news of Victor Sterling's brutal downfall spread through the city like a violent wildfire. By the very next morning, the terrifying truth reached the pristine hallways of the VIP elite clinic. Dr. Harris and the cowardly medical staff, who had silently watched me get violently slapped, were suddenly paralyzed by profound fear and deep regret. They desperately tried to contact me, leaving countless pathetic voicemails begging for my forgiveness, absolutely terrified that Arthur's legal team would permanently shut down their prestigious facility. I did not return a single call. I simply deleted their meaningless apologies, leaving them to permanently drown in their own bitter anxiety. Instead of dwelling on the dark, unforgiving past, I chose to focus entirely on my beautiful future. With Arthur's unwavering support and immense financial backing, I did not return to the toxic, money-driven environment of the VIP elite clinic. Instead, I proudly opened a brand new, state-of-the-art medical center dedicated entirely to providing world-class care for underprivileged mothers and their innocent children. I was no longer a helpless, insignificant peasant begging for basic respect. I was now the fiercely protective founder and head director of the city's most respected charitable hospital. Several months later, I, Clara, sat peacefully in my bright, sunlit office, gently rocking my healthy, beautiful newborn baby in my arms. The physical bruise on my cheek from Victor's heavy hand had vanished long ago, leaving absolutely no lingering pain in my completely healed heart. Arthur quietly walked into the room, smiling warmly at his tiny new niece. We looked out the massive glass window together, watching the vibrant, bustling city below. The terrifying storm that once threatened to destroy my life had unexpectedly forged me into an unstoppable force. Victor Sterling had foolishly built his arrogant kingdom on sinking quicksand, but I had successfully built my lasting legacy on the unbreakable foundation of genuine love and profound resilience. The dark nightmare was completely over, and our glorious new dawn had finally arrived.